Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. The Red Man tobacco sets do not offer much in the way of different card designs or images over their 4-year run. One change for the 1954 issue, however, is that the set only contains 50 cards as opposed to 52 cards that were in the previous 2 years. Dropped for 1954 were the 2 manager cards from the previous year's 2 World Series teams. The players were still selected by J.G. Taylor Spink, the editor of the Sporting News. The 1954 set maintained its 3.5-inch by 4-inch dimensions that include a 1/2-inch tab at the bottom of the card. Like the previous years, collectors could submit 50 tabs for a Red Man Big League style baseball cap. Each card features a colorful quality likeness of the player against a solid background or ballpark. The player's name, team, and basic biographical information can be found within a white box on the front of the card. As with the 1953 issue, the card number is also included, but unlike the 52 and 53 sets, the tab did not include the card number or reference to the player. Key players in the set include Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella, Whitey Ford, Willie Mays, Phil Rizzuto, Duke Snider, and Warren Spahn. Missing again, and not to be found in any of the Red Man tobacco sets, is Mickey Mantle. For those collectors not concerned with the tab, cards that have it removed are worth a fraction as compared to the complete versions, and it offers a great opportunity to own original Hall of Fame cards on a budget. Without the tabs, however, it is sometimes difficult to determine which year a certain card comes from. It's usually easiest to determine the year by looking at the expiration date of the offer on the back of the card. Subtract 1 from the expiration year to determine the year of the card. In this video, I'm going to show the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1954 Red Man tobacco set based on their PSA 5 values. The values stated are for cards that still contain the tab at the bottom of the card. I'll also give the values of those cards in higher grades as well as the population count of those grades. As a side note, because most of the cards have very low population counts, the values in some grades might not reflect current prices since it may be a year or two or even more since a copy in that grade has been sold. Now, before I get to the top 10, here are the cards that just missed the top 10. At number 15, the Al Rosen card. At number 14, the George Kell card. At number 13, the Minnie Minoso card. At number 12, the Richie Ashburn card. And at number 11, the Billy Cox card. So, which cards made the top 10 list? Let's go find out. Coming in at number 10, we have the Eddie Mathews card. In a PSA 5, there have been 20 graded copies, with a current VCP average price of $100. There have been 21 graded A PSA 6. They sell for around $150. There have been 14 graded A PSA 7. They sell for around $213. There have been 15 graded A PSA 8. They sell for around $480. There have only been 2 graded A PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale was in June of 2017 through Heritage and sold for $1,200, placing the Eddie Mathews tied for 5th in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this top 10 list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Eddie Mathews card. Coming in at number 9, we have the Phil Rizzuto card. In a PSA 5, there have been 17 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $101. There have been 22 graded A PSA 6. They sell for around $181. There have been 8 graded A PSA 7. They sell for around $184. There have been 12 graded A PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale was in May of 2023 through eBay and sold for $705. And there has not been a PSA 9 or PSA 10 graded copy of the Phil Rizzuto card. Coming in at number 8, we have the Whitey Ford card. In a PSA 5, there have been 23 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $115. There have been 16 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $106. There have been 11 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $264. There have been 9 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $760. There have been 3 graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale was in August of 2022 through Heritage and sold for $2,400, placing the Whitey Ford at the number 3 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And there has been 1 PSA 10 graded copy. The last PSA 10 sale was in August of 2012 through Memory Lane and sold for $2,804, placing the Whitey Ford at the number 1 spot in terms of PSA 10 graded copies on this list. Coming in at number 7, we have the Duke Snider card. In a PSA 5, there have been 28 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $120. There have been 18 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $150. There have been 14 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $182. There have been 19 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $480. There has been 1 graded a PSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale in VCP's database took place in October of 2018 through REA and sold for $1,200, placing the Duke Snider tied for the number 5 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Duke Snider card. Coming in at number 6, we have the Pee Wee Reese card. In a PSA 5, there have been 26 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $125. There have been 25 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $108. There have been 21 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $192. There have been 18 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $346. There has been 1 graded a PSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale in VCP's database was in November of 2014 through Love of the Game auction and sold for $1,140. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Pee Wee Reese card. Coming in at number 5, we have the Yogi Berra card. In a PSA 5, there have been 31 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $135. There have been 19 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $575. There have been 19 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $355, although that price is probably a bit outdated. There have been 21 graded a PSA 8. The last PSA 8 sale was in May of 2023 through Memory Lane and sold for $726. And there has not been a PSA 9 or 10 graded copy of the Yogi Berra card. Coming in at number 4, we have the Warren Spahn card. In a PSA 5, there have been 16 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $140. There have been 17 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $108. There have been 11 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $300. Now, there have been 3 graded a PSA 8, but there have been no reported PSA 8 sales in VCP's database. There has been 1 graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale was in June of 2017 through Heritage and sold for $1,560, placing the Warren Spahn at the number 4 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Warren Spahn card. Coming in at number 3, we have the Gil Hodges card. In a PSA 5, there have been 20 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $160. There have been 20 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $225. There have been 22 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $250. There have been 15 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $599. There have been 3 graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale was in May of 2016 through REA and sold for $540. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Gil Hodges card. Coming in at number 2, we have the Rory Campanella card. In a PSA 5, there have been 27 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $184. There have been 14 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $185. There have been 17 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $262. There have been 12 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $568. There's only been 1 graded a PSA 9. The only PSA 9 sale in VCP's database took place in July of 2020 through Heritage and sold for $3,480, placing the Rory Campanella at the number 2 spot as well in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And just like almost all the others, there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Rory Campanella card. And the most valuable card from the 1954 Red Man Tobacco set is the Willie Mays card. In a PSA 5, there have been 29 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $526. There have been 26 graded a PSA 6. They sell for around $720. There have been 21 graded a PSA 7. They sell for around $374, but again, that is most likely an outdated sale. There have been 11 graded a PSA 8. They sell for around $2,282. There's only been 1 graded a PSA 9. The last PSA 9 sale was in May of 2015 through Heritage and sold for $5,736, placing the Willie Mays also at the number 1 spot in terms of PSA 9 graded copies on this list. And there has not been a PSA 10 graded copy of the Willie Mays card. But there you go, the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1954 Red Man Tobacco set. As always, would love to know what you think about the set and the cards that made the top 10 list. And stay tuned for the next episode where I finish off the Red Man Tobacco set with the 1955 set, then move on to the 1954 Red Heart Dog Food set, the 1951 and 52 Burke Ross sets, and then move into pre-war sets. And if you've missed either of the last 2 videos in this series, you can check them out right here. And with that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.